listening to The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher. Today I'm at the Sheba Medical Centre in Tel Aviv on an emergency surgery ward for children with congenital heart disease. And with me is Jonathan Miles, the founder and director of Shevet Achim, the organisation that for the past 24 years has been bringing children, often newborn babies, from neighbouring Arab countries into Israel for life-saving heart surgery. We first met a grandmother from Gaza who was sitting by the bedside of her tiny baby granddaughter. Jonathan takes up their story.
This is the grandmother of newborn Lean. She was an emergency who had to come out of Gaza immediately. She was having a medication just to keep her alive long enough to get to surgery. A couple days ago, they rushed her out in an ICU ambulance to the Sheba Medical Centre here. It's the biggest hospital in Israel. And انتوا جيتوا في أي يوم؟ يوم الجمعة؟ يوم الأربعاء بالليل. Okay, so they got here late at night. The doctors stayed late and received her and stabilized her. And today they took her down to surgery. And so she's just recovering from a major open heart surgery.
How old is she?
كم عمرها؟
عمرها حوالي 25 يوم.
25 days approximately.
And is this the grandmother's first time in Israel?
أول مرة إلك في إسرائيل؟
نعم.
إلك نفسك أول مرة في إسرائيل؟
أجي هنا.
No, yes, it's the first time. She's from Jabalia in the northern Gaza Strip. مخيم أو بلد؟
لا البلد.
البلد. Okay, in Jabalia City, not in the refugee camp.
أنا متشكركم كثير على هالخدمة اللي قدمتوها لنا.
I want to thank you very much on this ministry, this service that you're giving to our children.
مشكورين كثير.
Thank you.
خففتوا عنا المأساة هذه والمعاناة.
Thank you so much for making it easier for us.
الجيان على تل شمير صعب كثير وإحنا ما فيش يعني.
To get to this hospital is not easy, and this is the favor of God and favor that you have shown to us.
نقدمكم جزيل الشكر ونتمنى إنه تكونوا فعالين للخير.
And may God bless you for this good that you've done in getting us here.
If this child hadn't been brought to this hospital, Jonathan, what would have happened?
She would not have survived more than a few more days if she hadn't been able to come here. So,
And now that she has been here?
she has the chance for a normal life.
انتوا فعلا ناس طيبين بتمدوا ايد العون للناس الغلابة اللي مش قادرة تجي
In Gaza we don't have treatment. So she's thanking again those people who cared enough to bring her granddaughter here.
How did you manage to bring her out with all the trouble that's been going on?
It's true. Just when she came out, there was virtually open warfare. Missiles were flying, I think, on the very day that she came out. So the policy of the Israeli government and the military has always been, no matter how bad it gets, they won't close the passage to life-saving medical care. We've never had a child refused after more than 20 years of this.
This is just such an extraordinary work, Jonathan, that here you have children from Gaza, Palestinian children, in beds next to Israeli Jewish children, cheek by jowl.
And what strikes these families the strongest is they see absolute parity in the way they're treated and respected and the way the doctors fight for their lives. And, we've seen all across the Middle East, these humble families are never treated as if they are of equal value to anybody. And it's like the first time they've ever been honored in that way. And as you're hearing it, really just overwhelms the heart. Wow, somebody cares about us. Somebody cares about our children. What a blessing that it's the people of Israel who are doing it for them.
We then moved to another bed and spoke to Mia, a mother from Iraq whose 11-month-old baby boy was lying motionless.
He has had 3 operations.
So you're sitting by his bed every day, watching him. Jonathan, just explain a little bit more about this little boy.
Well, Mir was born with the great arteries from his heart are switched to the right. Yeah. And to have a normal life, that means the heart pumps blue blood out to the body instead of the red blood. So they have to switch those great arteries, which is a huge process. And the doctors have been preparing him for several months, and finally last week they went in and did the big surgery, and his little body's really been struggling to respond to the shock of that, and he had to go back into the operating room for another 6 hours. There was some bleeding. And the doctors here are really just 24 hours fighting for him nonstop. Mother sees everything that they're doing. They're doing anything that's possible to try to save him. And it looks like he's doing a little bit better.
You've seen a little bit of progress? You're a little bit encouraged?
Yes, a little bit better than last week.
Here he is, Jonathan, in his own room. This tiny little body in this big bed surrounded by tubes and machines. As you say, the care is just extraordinary, isn't it? And every child given the same treatment, no matter who.
Well, and it's very striking when you see where these kids are coming from. They would be sitting neglected in a hospital with maybe an IV or something and virtually nothing being done. And when they get to a big center like this, it's suddenly a dozen people are all working on them at once and treating it like a life and death emergency, which it is. But so many of the children in the region don't have access to this kind of care. And for us as followers of Jesus, we have to ask, is that okay with us to know that some children are getting everything and others nothing? It's not okay with the Israeli doctors. They love to reach kids like this who don't have any other hope, but they're really not able to get to them or to get them here. That's the little role. I mean, as you see, the doctors are doing all the work, but we Christians have this little role of finding these kids and getting them here so that the doctors can do what they love to do.
So here we are walking around this emergency department. There are 3 or 4 children from Gaza here, at least 1 or 2 from Kurdistan. It's amazing. It's the majority of children in this ward.
Well, the hospital is, they feel blessed by our partnership because we're giving them the opportunity, helping to give them the opportunity to do what they are trained to do, what they want to do. They and the people of Israel are longing to reach out to their neighbors and to show a different way. But in this specific area, without an intercessor, we who can go into Gaza or into Iraq or to where the Syrian refugees are, they can't get these kids. So for us as followers of Jesus, here is a unique opportunity to really make a difference for the people of Israel, for their neighbors, for the relationship between them, kingdom of God in the Middle East.
And that, of course, is the bigger picture, isn't it? It's the story that they go back with, the hope that they go back with.
Mm-hmm. We very much feel that this whole story reflects the truth that our Creator did choose a people, the Jewish people, through whom to bless all the peoples of the earth, to bless us with the knowledge of God, to give us the Word of God. And here's some material blessings also being shared with us and with their neighbors.
And you're breaking down prejudice, you're breaking down hatred, enmity.
Mm-hmm. Right, our neighbors are from birth often being told that the Jewish people are their enemies and that their presence here is a disaster, but here you're saying just the opposite, that if this is indeed something that God is doing in restoring Israel to this land, which we believe it is, His intention is to bless, not to curse. And we just feel the more our neighbors get to know the Jewish people, the closer they come to the story of salvation, which is the story of the Jewish people. So in all kinds of senses, material, medical, spiritual, just feel very humbled and grateful that we can be a spark to help make this thing happen.
So the first children came out from Gaza. What other countries are you bringing them from?
Well, after the war in Iraq in 2003, we went to investigate what was the situation there, and it was like Gaza, and absolutely no heart surgery available. And so many people, 1 out of 200 births is a child who's going to need an open heart surgery worldwide. So you can imagine how many in Gaza, how many in Iraq. Same desperate parents, can't anybody help us? The same indifference from the world, massive indifference. Just like we've been seeing about Syria, massive indifference to hundreds of thousands of people being killed there. So they started coming out of Iraq. And that was a real journey of faith. We didn't even have faith that Iraqis could come here in the beginning. Something like that had never happened. But once again, the Lord challenges you by putting a particular baby in front of you, and this was a 2-day-old baby with same thing as this child we're standing by, transposition of the great arteries. And the American doctor starting to cry and saying, I see kids like this all the time and I can't do anything for them. I can diagnose them, but where am I going to send this baby? She needs surgery within 2 weeks. And we remember the doctors in Tel Aviv and say, well, of course it's impossible, but why don't we, instead of us closing the door, let's let God open or close the door. And every time we take a little step of faith like that, amazing things start to happen. And it pulls people together from all kinds of backgrounds. Anybody who sees that dying baby will put aside all the political and religious differences and say, yeah, we ought to help. With that first child, it was a cousin of Saddam Hussein who was still on the loose in Iraq at that time, and he got on the phone with the doctor here, and together they made a plan of, let's do a Rashkin procedure so that baby can fly, and then we'll get her here. It was amazing to see the people working together. But so it happened in Iraq, despite our unbelief. The Lord did it, and since then there's been a steady flow from Iraq. And then Syrian refugees, could they come into Israel? Yeah, as we've seen, they can too. So we're getting another one next week, a little Syrian boy picking up and bring him across the border.
So is it the case that there are more children than actually what you can manage?
Well, this is another amazing thing. You'd think we'd be overwhelmed and we'd have to pick and choose, and it's never happened. Every child who's found its way to us that needed our intervention, until now, we've had a response for them.
You've been listening to Jonathan Miles describing the stories of the children his organisation Shevet Achim is helping. It's a remarkable work. The Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund is a Christian charity based in the UK that supports the needs of both Jewish believers and Arab or Palestinian Christians living in Israel and the wider Middle East. If you'd like to know more about our work through our bi-monthly newsletter, including news about our upcoming tours, please either visit our website www.olivetreefund.org or write to me, Julia Fisher, OTRF, PO Box 402, Billingshurst, RH 14 4BQ in the UK. Meanwhile, join me at the same time next week for another story from the Olive Tree. Until then, goodbye.